Thank you, Mr. Chair. John Nephew, 628 County Road B East. And if anyone wants to know my phone number, it arrived in your mailbox probably on Friday. And I welcome any comments or opinions. I'm, of course, a member of the City Council. Dale had some good points. I'm primarily here to talk about the organized hauling issue. Dale had some good points about the statute. I want to take a slightly different angle on it to give people some food for thought, because sometimes when people call and they say, I can't believe you're doing this, what business do you have getting into this? Government should stay out of trash, which, and they say, let the free market work. Well, I have to tell you that to think that trash hauling represents the free market in any way in America today is completely naive. What we have here is a service. It's not just a service that you can pick to choose. It is the law in Maplewood with criminal penalties, as I understand it, that you must have a trash hauler. The law says you must have a trash hauler visit your house once a week. Once a week, a trash hauler has to come to your house to take away trash. So even if you want to bring it all to the pay dump, the law in the book still says a trash hauler has to come. Not only that, you're given choice of a list of government-approved trash haulers who are licensed to do business in the city of Maplewood. So we have a situation where there is an individual mandate from the government telling you as an individual, you must buy this service, and here is the limited list of people that you're allowed to buy it from. And when I, as a government official looking out for the interests of my constituents, say, shouldn't we put a little effort into making sure our residents are getting the best deal? Shouldn't we put a little effort into making sure that these service providers are being efficient, that they're not in a situation where they don't care about efficiency because they can always pad it up on the bottom line to get their profit margins? But we're told that even wanting to talk about that and examine it and go through a process of questioning whether this is the most efficient and the best value for our residents is anti-free market. That's not free market. And the representative that sends this out to people, he's not standing up for capitalism or American values. He's standing up for the profits that exist under the existing system, and he just wants to protect the status quo with whatever argument seems to fit at this moment. So I think it's just really important for people to think that. Ask yourself, if it wasn't just Dale's example about all that hoops she had to go through, but if in addition, the state law and the local law both said, oh, and by the way, you must hire someone to remodel your house every year, whether you actually want to do it or not. That would give us a better analogy to what this situation is like. And so, as somebody who cares a great deal about fiscal responsibility, I think that we have a duty as a city to go down this path and consider these options. And otherwise, you know, maybe it's not considered a tax because you're putting the cash directly in the pocket of a private company, but when it's a service that you are required to get by the government, it seems to me that saving money for our residents there is just the same as if we were saving it on a tax or a fee for some other thing that the government required them to do. The other quick thing that I wanted to touch on also relates to the idea of the statute and the complexity of the process to do this. And that is that while Dale did a good job of outlining how difficult it is to go through this process just to have a discussion about whether the status quo is the best, it's not at all difficult to go the other way. As far as I can tell, under the law, any city in the state that had organized collection, and presumably they'd have to stick with a contract that they already have until its terms expire. But at that point, they could drop it and switch to open hauling without so much as a public hearing. So you would think that if all of the implied problems that we hear about, all these residents believe that costs will rise, that residents believe that service will get bad, well, if it was true, and not just a belief of residents that didn't have any experience with it, why don't we hear about an outcry in those cities? Why have I never heard of a single Minnesota city, certainly in the last 20 years since this law has been on the books, going and dropping organized collection in favor of the supposed free market? Well, I think that that speaks volumes, because you would suppose that in any one of those cities, it would be trivially easy, if there were widespread problems that everybody agreed on, to pressure their local elected officials or to elect a slate of candidates that ran on that as a platform issue. But we're just hearing the chirping of crickets from all those cities. I've asked a lot of mayors and council members of cities that have organized collection. I say, you know, what's the deal? And they're like, oh, it's all great. We love it. Wouldn't switch it for anything. So that is something, when you see the people that are turned out against it, to hold in your mind. What is the level of information, and what about the people that actually have experience with it and could, with a lot less effort, switch away? So those were my thoughts on that, and while I'm here, if anybody has any other questions of me from there, I certainly would invite you to ask.
Go ahead, Commissioner.